Here we have some water in a container with a sponge and a rag, using Decorators Caulk, which is a great invention. We just press the tab, the release tab, pull the plunger out to fit the tube. Before that, we have to cut the end of the tube off first. Do this with a sharp snap off blade. Try not to cut back too far. If you do that, the nozzle may not be able to attach to the tube. So take a cut from the tip and therefore the nozzle should have no problem to be able to be securely fixed. Like so. Next stage is to cut a piece off the nozzle, normally a small 45 to a 35-degree angle, so it's got a point on it, and you can use that as a guide. We push the plunger down and then press on the handle a few times so the plunger goes and makes contact with the tube and pushes the cork down the tube. Then we press the release tab to stop that pressure for continuous flow. It's always a good idea to keep the end of the nozzle clean and your hands clean, hence the rag. Always start at the top. Make sure you've got a ladder that's firmly opened and the surface of the ladder is secure. Start pulling the trigger. So you have a continuous flow of cork. Don't pull it too hard because that will force more cork out of the nozzle. You need to find that happy medium, the zone where you're just putting enough pressure on the handle to force the amount of cork that is required onto the surface. Then we clean off. Here we're cleaning off with our finger with a surgical glove on. You can see the first hit, and sometimes the gaps are too big to do it in one hit. You have to go back over several times for the cork to actually fill the gap. And once we've done that, we use our finger. A lot of people just use their finger without any form of gloves. Here, just put some cork on the finger into a large hole and then gone over it with the tube. always try to go in the direction when you're cleaning off, just as when you're actually applying the caulk. Here we're using a rag to clean off the excess. Using our finger there to force it into the gaps of the architrave. It's vital to clean off the surface, because you'll see it once you start painting. You can see how long the length of skirting, the top of the skirting board is. You can just carry on to right from start to finish, or to where you're comfortable with, and then go back and clean off. There's several methods of cleaning off. We've seen the finger. You can use a sponge dipped in water, not excess water, so just clean it off just to wipe it off. And then using our finger to clean off. Always clean off the excess caulk. Don't worry about if you have a big build-up of caulk, you can always clean it off, and always keep that's to the release tab to stop the flow of caulk, the pressure on the plunger. So every time we use the gun, the caulk, once we've finished with it, we press the release tab. Sometimes you've got to go over or get some caulk on your finger and put it in the gap, and then go over it with the gun. What you're looking for is like seamless filling. It's always good to check, because you may have missed something that you haven't cleaned off. All these gaps we're filling on the frames, skirtings, once painted, will show a more professional and enhanced solid job. Here we're filling, but suddenly we've run out of caulk. We need to replace the tube. We press the release tab, pull the plunger back and remove the tube and replace with a new one. we don't need to cut a new nozzle. We can just take off the first nozzle we cut and put it onto the new tube. When cutting the tube, always make sure that you've got a stable because these tubes are quite difficult at times to cut off, and you need to be in control because you're using a snap off blade, and you don't need to have any accidents. Just going through the motion there to show you that then you would cut off if you're using that tube to a 35-degree angle. So we're screwing the old nozzle. So sorry, we just taking off the old nozzle to put onto the new tube. Once the tube is in, you press the release tab and push the plunger down, and then work by using the trigger of the gun. Once the nozzle is full of caulk, we then really press the release tab. There's quite a large gap here which you have to go over a few times, and you go over it as many times as you have to fill that gap, and then essentially to clean off, which is incredibly important because we don't want to leave any excess on the surface. When that is dried and we've painted it, no one would ever know that there was such a gap there. You can use the Decorators Caulk for internal gaps on the plaster work. Again, on the mouldings of doors, same principle, same techniques, same method, but most importantly of all is to clean off properly. So there's no evidence that you've used Decorators Caulk. If there's a gap, fill it, and just make sure everything is cleaned off. Sometimes I wet my finger so that it will clean off better, and so that my finger can slide more easily.